So have I lost anybody? Questions on, yeah.
When you talk about bowl pressure, I mean, with that stronger spring, I mean, I think the facet valve that we get from Zenith is like a 3.5 pound pump, so we're okay with that.
Should be.
Now, when do you, I guess I don't know when to use the pump or when not to use the pump, since there's already an engine mounted pump, or is it just in case of failure of the engine mounted?
I don't know a whole lot about the Zenith system. The Jabiru and the Lightning system, we use it on takeoff, sort of as a backup there. Once you get altitude, we shut the pump off and leave it off until we are on the next takeoff roll. In the latest Jabiru pilot operating handbooks for their JARVLA airplanes and their Australian certified airplanes, they say, well, the pump should be on if you're at pattern altitude or below. But I guess when we were flying Titans, I don't know as I ever hardly had that pump on. It just, we never had any problems, and I would forget to turn it on takeoff. I mean, half the time with Jabirus, I forget to turn it on takeoff. But as a safety or backup feature, keep the pump on for takeoff, and when you get to altitude, turn it off, and if things run fine, you're okay. Some of the problems that some Zenith builders and others have had with smooth airflow into the carburetor, and we're talking about some guys use a rubber 90-degree angle to come around the corner here. Well, I think a lot of that's caused, the scat ducting is 2 1/4 inch that goes on the airbox. But this is in millimeters, and it's a little smaller than that. So you wind up squeezing down your scat duct and bunching it up. Well, if it gets bunched up in front of these inlets, then that can affect how the air goes to the bottom of the carburetor, and maybe reduce that pressure a little bit, and let the needle go down and lean it out. I think it's not just turbulent air. It's the guys have their scat ducting. Comes in here and there'll be a fold in it or a crimp or something right in front of these inlets.
What's happening at these little inlets down, these ports down here?
Okay, the ports down here, there's only one of them that does anything, and that's the one that's in the brass. That is an idle air supply orifice, and with bigger idle jets, when Jabiru went to the economy jetting kit, their idle jet went from a 35 to a 45, and that little fitting needed to be drilled out to 1.6 millimeters from 1.3 millimeters. 1.6 millimeters, a 16th inch drill. So guys who were retrofitting the economy kit on had to drill out that little orifice as well.
So if you have any bunching up of that slightly larger scat tube, you want to try to keep it on the side?
Well, yeah, I don't know as that affects the idle air very much, because that's not, that's a very little amount of air. It doesn't, if it's not blocked totally off, it's probably all right.
So just try to make sure that it's really smooth up here by these.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that the carbide scat tube?
Yeah, the scat duct from the airbox to the carburetor.
Now you say this comes with a 285 jet, but we most assuredly will need a 280 or 278 in our application.
It's kind of interesting. It varies a little from plane to plane. There are some Zodiacs out there flying with the stock jet and seem to be doing fine. There are others who are just belching black smoke and not doing well at all, using 8-9 gallons an hour in cruise with the stock jets, and they have to make some adjustments. So it's not only the prop load in that case. There's some other factors that are coming in. Some guys that have built a Zodiac as clean as possible with wheel pants and so forth.
And light. Haven't added much extra stuff.
Don't have the issues of guys who are flying them dirty. Like Tony Graziano in Western Tennessee has one that is not particularly clean and no wheel pants, and he lands in backcountry strips with it, so forth, and his was running quite rich. because his prop loading was just different.
So for first flight, stick with 285 or?
I guess I would. You know, you can tell when you're doing your taxi testing and apply full power, and if the thing wants to miss and spit and sputter and shake, well, most likely if somebody's watching, he'll see black smoke come out of that, and then you know you have to make a change right away. If it's still running smooth, I mean, you can use 8 gallons an hour and it'll still run pretty smooth. And you know, even if it's on the rich side, it'll run pretty smooth. On our first flights with Jabirus here, using a Sensenik propeller instead of a Jabiru propeller, most of the time we have to go down 1 jet size. But if we don't, and I do most of these first flights, under full power climbing up, we'll get this shake in the airplane, just a shudder. And then I'll look at the EGTs and find that some of them are down in the 1,000 range instead of 1,200, and it's just running a little too rich. But essentially you have to investigate 2 different power settings here. You have to see what it's doing under full power, full throttle, climbing and level flight, full throttle. And if it's running smooth there, probably leave it alone, no matter what jet you have, because you're not at that setting for a very long period of time, minute or 2 climbing out, maybe 3 or 4. And 95% of your time is going to be spent in the long term at cruise.
Right.
And that's where you want to pay close attention. And with the economy jetting kit, this needle is a little different configuration. The needle that we passed around was a straight taper, top to bottom. Okay, the needle in the economy jetting kit has a taper and then a step in. Now, my drawing skills are not particularly good, but when you picture how this is going to operate in real life, this jet is going up and down inside, this needle is going up and down inside the needle jet. Well, at full power, the top of your diaphragm is exposed to the most engine vacuum. It's going to pull that needle up. So in the jet, this jet might be right there on the needle, okay, allowing the most space there for fuel to get through, and so you'll have a richer mixture. Now, if you envision when you pull that throttle back, you get up to altitude and level off, and RPMs will go up to 2950, maybe 3000. You start pulling the throttle back, and at a certain point there, if you're watching your EGTs will go up 100 degrees. Well, that's the point where as you pull the throttle back, you're limiting the amount of vacuum the top of the diaphragm sees. So the diaphragm begins to relax, and when it gets to the point where that jet is in this position relative to the needle, it reduces this space here, so not as much fuel gets through, and it leans the mixture out. And that's, you know, this is not something that you need to pay attention to on your very first test flight, but sometime in your 40-hour fly-off period, you're going to take this thing up there, climb it out, let RPMs build up above 2850, 2900, then start pulling the throttle back, watching the EGTs. And there will come a point there, somewhere right around 2850 RPM, that those EGTs will just tick right on up about 100 degrees. They should go from 1250 to the high 1300s. That will be your economy cruise setting. Some airplanes it might be 2860, some airplanes maybe 2830 RPM. Depends on your prop loading and your airframe drag again, but somewhere right around there between 2800 and 2850, 60 RPM will be the point where you're going to use 5.2 gallons an hour instead of 6 plus.
EGT goes to where, what's the prime?
Ideal would be between 1350 and 1400. Now, if you're measuring all 6 EGTs like we do, we'll often see one of them will be down below 1300. 3 of them will be between 1350 and 1400. One will show a little over 1400, but they'll be basically 100 to 120, 30 degrees higher than what they were at full throttle. At full throttle, if you're seeing EGTs that are below 1100, most likely you'll have a shake in your engine. You're a little on the rich side. Now at full throttle,
The answer to that would be a smaller main jet.
that's correct. At full throttle, that needle is drawn far enough, or should be drawn far enough out of that needle jet, that the net area here between the sides of the jet and the needle is greater than the area in the main jet. So the main jet becomes a limiting factor at that point. So if you get if you're getting too much fuel at full throttle, then it would require a smaller main jet. Comes with a 255 main jet. On our Jabirus, we often have to go to a 250. Okay, I think that pretty much covers the carb talk, but it goes back again to some of your first flights. My guess is 2/3, 3/4 of the Zenith guys will have to reduce the jet size. And again, it's by experiment. It's pretty rare that that it's so far out of whack to start with that you can't fly that first flight. And usually guys who tell me they can't fly that first flight because of overly rich or something else, it's something other than the carb tuning that's causing that.
Well, the same engine in one of the Jabirus would probably work out a little better because it's a
Yeah.
little slicker.
Yeah. Yep. Now, we talked downstairs a little bit about tilting the carburetor. And I want to show you here, the jet comes out into the carburetor right at the bottom. So that's where your fuel is coming in. And just behind the carburetor, there is what they call an intake plenum. And at the front end of that plenum is a symmetrical airfoil that splits the flow left and right. So if you can envision your Zenith, the flow is coming in from the side. If for some reason you start to get a little spiral in that flow, when it picks up the fuel, if it is spiraling through clockwise, it may move a little bit more of the fuel to the left side of that diffuser, that symmetrical airfoil, and the left side of your engine may be just a little bit richer than the right side. If your spiral is the other way, the opposite will result. So to compensate for that, you can tilt your carburetor a little bit. In other words, if your spiral comes in and the air is spiraling clockwise and it's moving just a little bit too much of the fuel mixture to the left side of the engine, if you turn the bottom of that carburetor toward the lean side, moves the pickup point over, your spiral is still moving it to the left, but since it starts out to the right, it might get to the right position when it hits that diffuser, and you can even out EGT temps right and left. Okay, questions? Confusion?
If we need a smaller jet, we just call you.
We have some jets here, but it's probably just as easy to bingcarburetor.com. They have all the jets, and that's where we get them.
You know what I mean, if you say you want.
If you tell them I have a 255 main jet and I want the next step down, they'll tell you what that is. It's 250. Or if you say, if you look on the side of your jet, if you had your bifocals on here and on the side here, this says 2.80.
And that's what we have coming and shipping today, right?
It's 2.85, I think.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
They have, Bing has asked what type of carburetor it is.
Oh, Bing will ask what type of carburetor. And you tell them it's a 40 millimeter constant velocity off a Jabiru, and they ought to know. It's actually a Bing Model 64.
We call you that, right?
No, it's in your
In the book?
manual there, yeah.
Okay.
You said this is a Bing.
Bing 64 CV, and it's a 40 millimeter. It's the same carburetor as is on the Rotax 912 series, except they use a 32 millimeter and use two of them. We use a bigger carburetor and only one of them.
Now, you didn't use any special tools that I saw to get that apart, is that, I don't need any,
Metric wrenches.
not that.
This is about the only metric part on the airplane.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is a 10 millimeter and that's an 8 millimeter.
Fuel filtration, your documentation says 100 microns or less. And if my gascolator has a 100 micron screen, I mean, does that meet that, or do you still recommend
Yeah.
a filter of smaller size?
Jabiru uses a paper filter in their airplanes. And they're actually a Fram G1. And had a guy whose auto store told him that was discontinued, but that's baloney. It's still on their website. You can get them online. You can get them at John Deere dealers. You can get them at XL mower dealers. You can get them at Exmark mower dealers.
This is an inline filter that's totally disposable, or is it
Yeah,
like a G1?
it's disposable.
Totally disposable.
Yeah. Fram G1. We hadn't been carrying any here, but I told Dana to get 10 of them in here just for guys who couldn't find them somewhere.
2 bar fittings and hose clamps.
Yeah, 1/4-inch fittings for 1/4-inch line.
Post, fuel pump, boost pump?
Pre,
Yes.
Post
Yeah.
escalator, pre-fuel pump.
yeah. Yep. One other item that has been on the Jabiru chat list recently is we got a guy in New Zealand actually who's saying that the size of the orifice in the float valve here, he said Bing told him that the 2 millimeter that is used in Jabiru is meant for a system, gravity fed system, and that a 1.5, I believe, millimeter is what should be used with fuel pumps. So here there's been 4 or 5 guys who have changed because they had a little problem getting the float to shut off. They changed to the smaller seat. The smaller seat under 4 psi produces about 10 gallons per hour. Jabiru at 3,300 RPM will use more than that. So Jabiru Australia would strongly discourage anybody from changing that to a smaller seat, in that you can run yourself out of fuel.
Maybe what should have been done is make sure you have the black tip,
The black tip and your float's adjusted right.
that would allow.
And we've seen several carburetors now. When you look inside here, right at the bottom, you know, it's supposed to be a nice smooth seat. But apparently Bing had a tool that chattered some in there and left a lot of ridges. And I don't know, we've seen probably a dozen carburetors now. Darn things wouldn't seal because the seat in there had these chatter marks on it and it just didn't seal. Generally, it doesn't make too much difference. You can't tell it when you're cruising and so forth, but it often makes it tough to idle. And if you have the cowl off, sometimes in turning your fuel pumps on, if the float valve doesn't seal, then you'll see gas coming out the clear line that goes between your carb vent and the airbox. You'll see fuel coming up in there. Well, that means the level in the float bowl is going up so high, it's going on up the vent. And that obviously means that your float valve is not sealing.
Change it or do something with it?
Well, yeah, I mean, sometimes that comes, like we just had an engine on a Jabiru light sport that we just got going. We couldn't make that darn thing idle. And they're looking at it here, fuel is coming up that vent line and so forth. Well, here's one came right from the factory, and the floats were adjusted so that when the floats went all the way up and hit the top of the carburetor, it still wasn't shutting the flow off.
That's fluid.
So that was a float issue. That can be part of it. Sometimes, well, the chatter marks in the seat can be part of it. Sometimes, I don't know whether it's from the pickling oil or what, but there's a little varnish gummy stuff on that black tip. And guys take the thing apart and they clean things off, put it all back together, and that's fine. We've had other times when there's a piece of rubber debris from inside the hose. In fact, I had a guy send me a photo of that, and he had a little chunk of rubber there, probably, I don't know how big, but it blocked about half of the hole, was stuck in there, and the float valve wouldn't shut. And I guess when he cut his hose, a little piece of rubber debris stayed inside and eventually worked its way down to the float valve, and where it may have been when Jabiru cut the hose between the fuel pump and the carburetor. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be the builder.
If it turns out that everything else is okay and float valve's not shutting off because the poorly machined seat chatter marks, whether you try to re-machine that?
Well, you can try with a deburring tool and stick in there, see if you can make that smooth. If not, call Bing and yell at them, and they'll send you a new seat.
What's the change of process? Is it screwed in? Is it
It's pressed in. Yeah, just you can get a pair of pliers on the lip here and crimp it down, and then grab it and yank it out of there, and then just press the new one in.
Okay, so you said for us with our Zenith, a good cruise is about 5.2 gallons to 1350 to 1400. And what was that RPM range?
2800 to 2850.
Okay, that's what we should be shooting for.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think that pretty well wraps up our carb talk. If there's any questions, let me know. And we can
remember half of this.
Yeah, we can go downstairs and get back actually accomplishing something now.
So it's going to hinge in this way. So for this, what we do is we're going to center this in here and then make, let's put this, actually let's put this back together, Ed. Okay, but we can put this in here, and what you want to do is you're going to trim this flange back in just about 1/16 of an inch off of this joggle here, because you're going to center out past the joggle, because what you're going to end up doing is centering the hinge right on that joggle line. So you're going to take a little bit off of the front, because you don't want it sticking out like that. You want half and half.
Yeah.
So you're going to take a little bit off the front here of the door, and then half of it out of the cowl. Exactly. Okay. So what we can do is, let's see what our width is here. Center it in there and go ahead and mark that.
Mark the width?
Yeah, get in a good spot there and mark the width.
I guess I'm taking for granted you. You don't want to bring that out here too?
Nah, don't out of the way now. So what we're going to do is just draw a line right about there.
You're about what, an eighth?
Not even quite an eighth. I'm about a 16th actually.
Okay.
Half the barrel.
Yeah, so I'm about a 16th, right around there. And a particular thing, it's a lot easier to keep on filing away than it is to grow the fiberglass back. So what we need to do is to make this cutout here.
2 points.
2 points. All right, and then we'll trim this out. This just makes life a little bit easier. Much quicker. Where'd our hinge? Yeah, no, actually, I'm not going to use that. I want to see how wide my hinge is here. I'm going to take off, actually, I'm going to extend this line a little bit more. I'm just opening the door a little bit more. It gives you a little bit more of a handhold anyway. I've got a square tool also. Yeah.
Now, fiberglass, do you put a radius like you do on
Nah, don't have to worry about it. On this particular, I wouldn't. Back in the corner, you could.
like this?
And we can go back in just a little bit more. Get back on there. What you're doing is you're just checking the fit here to make sure, see where that hinge is going to end up. And then you can kind of I'm okay so far, and I think I want to bring this. How's that going to fit right there? Yeah, just draw.
Calibrated 10 millimeters.
Yeah.
It works for me.
And we'll go a 1/2 inch in on each side.
See, the line is still falling. If you're right, it's
Do 1.5, half.
see how much better that is?
It's a 3-inch wide hinge. I'm putting three rivets in it. So if somebody wants to drill these 3 out with 1/8 of an inch. That's gonna be pretty close there.
We can take a little bit more on the edge.
Yeah, just a little bit off the corner there, but don't do too much else.
Okay.
Just a little bit off the corner. You wanna get those 3 right there?
So you're figuring to get in underneath and back drill through these.
Mm-hmm. That's what we are going to do.
And we decided there was no need to trap the pin.
Sit back from the back side here, or the underside. There we go, Don. And like I said, you're just looking for left to right, fore and aft, just trying to get this door to set very nicely in here. And cutting out just enough so it sits on the hinge. There we go.
Tape that door once you get it pretty.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do. There you go. What we're doing here is we're going to drill the hinge from the bottom side or the underside of the cowl, but we're going to tape the door in place so it doesn't move.
You tape that side too?
No, it'll be fine. That's not going to go anywhere. That's going to be good. All right, let's flip it over. All right.
Put that under it?
Yeah, this table's fine. Well, actually, it'll help. It will help.
What do you want?
What I'd like to do, go ahead and slide it underneath there. Silver Clecos, go ahead and go ahead and drill a hole in there, and then we got the silver Clecos around us. Drill one and then Cleco it and then drill the other. All right.
Top Probably should have drilled it deeper so there'd been holes in the block for the cleat. That might be
That's all right.
good. But you love when those things launch.
Clicos? Yeah. One last time. But we've got, what, a 32nd of an inch right there. We're pretty much right up against it here. And what's going to happen is once they apply paint or primer and paint and everything else, this is going to rub up against whichever part's not moving. And it'll start taking the paint off the hinge, and it'll just, I mean, give yourself just a little bit for some paint in there. Yeah, that'll be fine. I just don't want to take too much. I hate a big gap there because it just starts to look ugly after a while.
You're not trained in that thing? You're not trained in that thing? My camera's someplace either in your truck or room. I ain't sure where I put it.
Okay. And one day he drilled right through the side into my hand. We had words. We had words about that. He didn't mean to. It was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Yeah, maybe he did. I was new. He didn't know me.
Maybe you have to strictly pull on off.
Yeah. Hey, it's a new guy.
Broke in, that's all.
That Alabama chrome will stop bleeding.
Yeah, it will. There we go. And there, that's. Now, we provide a single cam lock for the center back here.
I'd rather go one at a time.
Okay, now I'll let you, when you get home, drill them where you want them
Okay.
and put them in the corners. The things to consider if you go with 2 or any other type of latch is just remember your cam lock body. Where's the hardware kit? Right here. Just think about it because you can get yourself into a corner if you're not careful.
That's where it wasn't.
Now, there's a couple of things to think about. If you do drill it in a corner, your screws will be at an angle also.
Okay.
It's an aesthetic thing, and you can see where I made a slight mistake on the lightning, which I won't show you. You just have to find it.
The screw head.
Yeah, the screw head will be at an angle. I did one this way and one that way, and then when I actually put them in, one's going this way and one's going that way. It bothers me
These
to
are
this day.
symmetric.
Huh?
These are symmetrical.
They're 90 degrees.
Yeah, what are you complaining about, man? That's what, you gotta look at the good side of it.
So you can do that.
Back.
You can put them right here. You can put them in the corner. Just whatever you. Just remember the length or the width of the ears, the tabs there, when you're working on that.
Now the other half, what does
Oh,
it look like?
the-
Is that so the ears are then
Yeah, what you're going to do,
Parallel
we'll actually
to this one?
we'll do a couple
That's
on his
okay.
airframe over here.
That's it right there.
Yeah, this is the
Pops out.
nope, the other way around.
okay, so it goes.
Nope, other way around. Your left
right,
hand.
yeah.
There you go.
I see.
Yeah, the way this works is, I call this the cam lock receptacle or the body, and it's going to go on the back side.
That's the girl.
Yep, that's the female end. And then this is the male end. This is what goes through the top side into the receptacle. And you push down with the spring-loaded clamp or spring there, and then the 2 little ears go into this little area right in here, and they'll end up in this little saddle right here. We'll do a couple on
So
on the lower
surface,
cow.
it's still pretty flush then.
On the surface,
outside.
yeah, these are a domed head. On this, in here in this little package somewhere is an actual countersunk one of these, where it's actually is flushed with the top of the cowl here. The other thing you can do, and this is strictly up to you guys, you can get a Hartzell latch. It's a spring-loaded door latch, and also there's a oh goodness. It's a cam lock receptacle. It's like your old Cessnas with the push button. It's spring-loaded also.
You can
It's
buy those down at Sun and Fun. If you make it to Sun and Fun,
$5. Yeah,
$5 a piece for those,
Yep.
and $12 a piece for the bigger ones that you have to
the Hartzell latch.
Hartzell latch.
Yep.
$12 a piece for them. Like big. that
So,
big-
again, it's whatever you guys want to do. But the kit comes with a single here if you want to go double don. We'll just let you do it when you get home. Also, this is a number, oh gosh.
Well, that's what I
It's a number 6 cam lock.
Yeah.
There's a number printed on the head of the cam lock. It'll tell you what the number is. That's the one flush one's right there. Yep. The other downside of the cam lock up here, if you want to look at the downside, is
Depth receptacles or all
What do you
the
counter-
they're all the
Singles.
same.
It's the males who vary.
Yeah, the males vary.
What do you countersink it
You will
here?
countersink the door, yes. And you would counter, actually,
It has
door
to
is
do with the
very
length
thick.
of the screw, and
Mhm.
the top is countersunk.
so you've got a lip right there, a very, very small
They come in
lip
different lengths.
that will set on the top here. You can countersink it out to where it sets on
I
that
got
door.
you.
Yeah.
That, you're drilling
You're drilling through
here
the door.
to accommodate
Yeah.
the whole thing.
I'm getting ahead of myself. Wherever you want this, I would take a 3/32 drill, a number 40 drill, drill your pilot hole through the door and through the cowl.
Right.
There you've got
That's gonna
now.
be the center.
Yep, and that's going to be the center. Then you can drill your cam lock
Then
body
you
from
use
there.
it to put the bottom in.
Let's go over to your plane and let's do a couple of cam lock bodies, and I'll show you what we're going to do. All right. Though not necessary, this is worth its weight in gold right here. It's a cam lock jig. It comes in 2 different sizes, and you see we've taped off the size so I don't use it because we don't have this size cam locks. We use the small end. But it's very, very simple to use.
ACS, Wix, everybody sells it.
Yeah, this one, I don't know where we got this one from. One of those companies, probably Wix. But it has a centering pin right there. It's 3/32 or number 40. Put that in there, get to where it looks about horizontal. Oh goodness, somebody drilled that one out. Drill the first hole, then flip the jig over because you got 2 pins on that side. Put the 2 pins in. Drill the other hole.
That's a nice tool.
That is very nice. So, and then just work its way back out. When you're working with the fiberglass, one thing I learned is you'll drill the hole, it heats up a little bit, drill goes through just fine, and it cools off and it contracts just a touch. So when you're working with these, sometimes they're a little bit of a pain to get in there. You're doing the right thing. It's just heating and contracting of the fiberglass. So next thing is,
Keep a bowl of water around the
where'd the deburring tool go? It might be on the table, or those 3/32 countersunk rivets out of the hardware bag there. So what I'm going to do is take a deburring tool. This one just a 6-sided deburring tool. I'm going to countersink.
Countersinking as opposed to deburring.
Yeah, I'm countersinking
I
here.
know you see people
long
with
grip length.
aluminum countersinking.
Yeah,
instead
that's
of
what we got.
deburring.
And so what I'm looking for is I'll deburr it, or excuse me, now you got me saying deburring, thank you. I will countersink this down so that the head of the rivets can be flush along the flange here in the cowling. Don't go crazy, because if you go too much, you'll actually make your hole bigger and it'll get weaker. Yep. Let's see, that's got an 1/8 on it.
Yeah.
These are small rivets.
Yeah, these are small rivets. Can somebody hand me one silver Cleco and a pair of Cleco pliers? All right. So, before we do this,
We're going to bore the center.
yep, when you're going, well, you can do it afterwards too, just have to be careful about it.
Yeah.
All right.
Step drill or
No, for this part of it, for the receptacle side, it's a 5/16 hole. For the cowl side where the cam lock body goes through, it's a 1/4-inch hole. That helps keep the ears and keeps the cam lock in the cowl so they don't go flying all over the place when you take the cowl off. So, my hand drill, and I had a 5/16 inch.
Drill's right there.
Okay. Studs for us. These are our cam locks down the sides of the cowl. The cam locks across the top of the cowl, and these screws are screws down the bottom side of the cowling. We just did a simple little block like this. When we're taking the cowl off, we set up on the top here and just set them in there. Now, what I was telling you, the body here is a 5/16 inch hole. The cowl side or the body side of it, the receptacle side, excuse me, is a 5/16 hole. The body side's a 1/4-inch hole. I've learned that 1/4-inch hole is very, very frustrating. So what I do, I just go ahead and drill out to a 5/16, and when I take the cam lock out, I just take the whole cam lock out and put it in here. It just makes my life a lot easier, and I can take this cowl off a lot faster that way. Technically, you're supposed to leave them in there, but they will fall out. And next thing you know, you're on a grass strip somewhere, and you parked on the grass, the cam lock's going to fall out, and you're going to spend an hour trying to find that one little cam lock somewhere in the grass at your feet. I've done it. Does it? No, the cam locks do not. The cam locks will fall out. even though you're supposed to use a cam lock pliers and pop them in there and the little ears hold on to that 1/4 inch hole, they'll rattle around and they'll work themselves out and they'll fall on the ground when you least expect it.
So if you just drill it 5/16, then you just take it out.
We gotta do 5/16.
Where was your step drill or bit?
Oh, the bit holes to 5/16. Actually, Don, you need to do your top 3 also,
Which one you want?
because you'll put cam lock bodies in there
Okay, so they
too.
gonna be drilled out,
Same thing.
same drill bit, same width.
You only have 3 up here?
What about that?
A block?
Builders.
Okay. That's pretty sharp, that's good news.
First, and then where'd my little, there we go. So what I talked about before, I've countersunk these holes here. We're just going to put a silver cleco in, hold it in place. 3/32 countersunk rivet, so it's got a flat head, countersunk sides on it. Just put it in place.
You had countersunk that.
Yes. I just used a deburring tool. I mean, you can go get a micro stop if you want to, if you know, but for this stuff, it's pointless, overkill. Okay, somebody have another 3/32 rivet. We got one got away from me.
Probably stuck to the magnet right there.
Okay, there we go.
1/4 inch for the male, 5/16 is what we're using for the female.
There you go. And she's in there.
Can we throw the cover on and try the action?
Sure, we can do that.
We gotta drill these ones out though.
Oh, let's see if that's going to fit with those. Yeah, it should. Okay. There you go. And just push it in and turn. It's usually a 1/4 of a turn in. There you go. All right. One other thing. The cam locks, like I said, come in different lengths. Say 4, 5, 6, up through 14. That's the length of the screw in there. Now this one's sitting out just a hair. If you're really trying to get a perfect finish down the side, if it's putting in the next larger size puts it out even farther, or the next smaller size, you can't get it in there correctly. What you can do is shim the backside of the cam lock body inboard a little bit. Just put a little piece of 016, 020 that you may have hanging around the shop. You can shim it, drill that cam lock body out, shim it out, and like a number 5 will fit just a little bit tighter in there. Where a number 4 wouldn't go in there at all, but the number 5 kind of looked bad. Again, overkill. We've never had a Zenith ever win an award at Oshkosh that I know of. But, it's just whatever you want to do.
It's just out there.
Okay. You can download it. Now the caveat along with that is a lot of you guys got older parts. The older parts will work perfectly fine. I just figured out this just worked a little bit better. I liked the way it worked a little bit better, and we've now changed the parts to fit the new one. But what we'll do is I'll do it with the new parts. I'll just have to go get some. Put this over to the side. It's on the Jabiru website. Go to the 601 series, and it'll say at the very bottom, it'll be 601 firewall or Zenith firewall forward. Okay. So, step number 1 there is
Take the 2 6.5 aluminum angles and mark 2 holes 1 inch from each edge.
okay, and
3/8 up,
Yeah.
inch in, 1/4 inch holes.
What is it you're watching?
flip to the next page. Let me see. Carl, can you there's the paperwork that comes with it. Make sure that this is going to work.
We don't have to develop that on stock. That's in the company.
Yeah, this will work just fine.
Now this is why we need that oil drain, that new oil drain.
All right, so somebody put an 1/8 of an inch hole through there, and I'll mark the other one.
Where'd the drills go?
And we want the bottom of this angle face to be at the right here at the bottom line of this flange. So is trimming these off just enough where they fit in between the two flanges. So here, I'll turn it upside down. It does the same thing. Actually, we're about to do the wrong. Hold on. This is very important. It's got to be on this part. I'm led you astray there. There we go.
Put those on the side.
Yep. Okay. Make sure when you do this, you're putting these flanges on the top side of the oil cooler. I got ahead of myself and almost missed here. So it goes on the top side, and the top face of the angles face inboard, in toward each other. So while they're going to do those, I'm going to go over and trim these. These little pieces have to fit in between these two flanges here. So while you guys are drilling these, I'm going to go trim these on a chop saw real quick. So recenter those and clamp those guys in. I'll be right back. Bless you.
Send them as PDF files.
Have to have a bunch of them. Maybe a couple dozen. After one or two, I got 20 of. You know, top of the drill away from me.
All right. That side's done. Do the same thing on the other side. Now the next step is, I believe, trim the 1/4 inch aluminum tubing spacers as needed to fit between the oil cooler flanges. So that's what we're talking about here, and I got just enough there to fit between them. I looked at, eyeballed it, said, yeah, I need about a flange worth. So that's what I did. And then there we go. Yeah, see, that one's a little tight, but this flange is also fairly.
You can
thin.
reform it. You don't bend it. You reform it.
Yeah, that's it.
You don't bend it.
You're going to have to have that eyeball calibrated more.
Yeah.
There we go.
And you're not putzing around at home. You're professional now.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, so we've got that. Now, in the interest of time, what's sent with the kit is 5.5 inch pieces. You only need 4s now. And then also, go ahead and read that part of it.
Fortunately, on one face of the angle, trim off 3/8.
Yep.
Leaving 5/8.
So what we did is, we start out with an angle that one face is 1 inch. I trimmed off 3/8 of it. Excuse me, I trimmed off how much of it? I trimmed off
3/8,
yeah,
leaving 5/8.
leaving 5/8. I'll show you in a minute. It'll all come clear here in just a second. So that's what we did there. So we trimmed off 3/8, 5/8, leaving 3/8. No, I just said that wrong again.
Trimmed off 3/8.
3/8, 5/8. Thank you. Then we flip the angle around, and the next thing we do.
1.5 inch wide by 5/8 deep.
Yep, we make a cutout, and what this cutout is going to do. Where's number 1 on this side?
Yes. Right there.
Okay. So number 2.
No more of those.
Number 2. All right. What these cutouts do. Let's see which way I orient this. They go like this. And they make space for the fittings to come out. That's what they're there for. Okay. So what have we got? Let's see. We've talked about making the piece. We need to go over to the oil pan and measure the width outboard to outboard of the oil pan at the front end of it. And it's about, what, 4 3/8 it looks like.
Shy of 4
And 7
7/16.
Okay. Well, that's fine.
Heavy 4 3/8. Your choice.
Oh, we'll call it 4 7/16. It's close. All right. So what we're going to do then is we're going to find the center line here, which we had before. Yeah, 3 1/4 if I remember correctly. That's a nice crooked line.
Mark which line counts.
Let me do this work on teeth.
I think we should get Ed a pair of high-grade calipers.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. 4 3/8 is what? 2 5/16? No, 3/16.
3/16 either side.
So let's go. We'll just go a hair on the outside.
By the time you're
Yeah.
half a hair each
30
way,
seconds.
it ain't really gonna matter.
Unit there. You gotta get it
All right. 2 3/16. 1 2 3/16. 1 2 3/16.
This 89-year-old fellow that's helping me as a cartoonist, he made a caricature of me underneath there. He says, but it's a gazillionth of a millimeter off.
Or 1 OCD unit. I just made it up.
All right. Can you mark that side while I hold this? What you're doing here is just giving yourself an area for that plate. All right. And we're going to clamp these plates down here. Be right back. Let's line up this face along this line here and then clamp it down. So you can still drill it.
Then we'll please go in the north. Careful to stop before you get into the...
Yeah, before you go through the oil cooler.
Yeah, don't go through the oil cooler. It would not be a good thing. Clamp that and see if it's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I do.
You don't have to drill that out yet. I believe we can go over there and go check the fit.
Get the clamps with us and clamp it there. Or?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and clamp just right here. All right, take her over there and see if it fits on the bottom. It fits on the bottom. Is it too loose, too tight? Just snug?
I might have just moved your clamps.
That's fine.
I did it in this.
That's where it needs to be.
Yeah, because that, you just
Okay.
self-adjusting.
Yeah, self-centering.
Okay.
The
And
trick is to drill it without moving it.
Try it again.
Need to cheat it when we drill it up.
Okay, we've done that. Now we do the height.
Yeah, mark 2 1/8" holes.
Did you get it done?
Oh, wait a second. Oh, let's see, we tried it. Go ahead and drill them out to 3/16.
Wonder if you want.
That's not all should be taken away from me. Sharp things,
Drills.
Hammer.
Hammer to fit, paint to match.
No matter which way it goes.
Not right now. If it does fit better one way than another, mark it front and back. Now, the thing we have to look at now is it'd be better if we take this off.
The personal touches you can do later. Right.
Here's what we have to worry about. We've got to put an AN3 bolt through this face into the fin of the oil cooler at the bottom there. Couple things we have to worry about. The head of the bolt. There we go. The head of the bolt fitting in this channel or on this face right here, this 5/8 face, so that we can still get it in there and it's not, bottoming out like this. This is a problem, obviously. Yeah. But at the same time, if you go too high, you have the exact opposite problem on the fin, because the fin only is so deep and you've got to be able to get a nut back there. So the trick is place this on the fin there and determine where in the middle of that face we need to draw a line there.
Even the new ones don't work, the fat ones. They're just too big.
some compromises between,
Gotta find a happy medium.
And John, you might want to get a shot in the front too. Because what you're trying to do is to find that compromise between the two faces that you're going to have to drill through there.
radius.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, half-inch in on each side?
Half-inch in on each side.
You know,
everybody
sometimes
else is
you get
building
to a
our
point where
piece.
you begin to realize there's
Yeah,
certain
they'll be two
things.
people.
You get the feeling
Yep.
of what you don't have to worry about.
Exactly.
Bingo.
The first,
Heavy,
Clamp them back to back. Just do it right there. You got them
Yeah.
laying where they're exactly,
You got enough space.
there you go.
Yeah,
Clamp
just like
that
that.
sucker.
Match drill.
Now take the cleat goes out.
Yeah.
Do you need to, or can you leave them in?
No.
you can't get the drill
drill.
face.
Can't get to the
drill
drill.
in there.
There's the
Right.
holes right behind the cleat go. Now you could do one. and-
Not just,
Ah,
Well,
But
plus,
they aren't offset.
no, now just set it down on the, no, just set it down on the drill and drill it.
Well, put a
And put a cleat
Yeah.
on it to get another.
Okay, I was just gonna try to,
That will work. My swell, why not? You can't dance and it's too cold to plow.
everybody
That's like they
happy?
say in Wisconsin.
Not narrow on the hazard band. We've been in a damn drought for the last 6 months. Put a cleat in there. Doesn't matter, I guess, really. Doesn't really matter. That's okay. Go. It doesn't matter. So you want to draw up?
No, we put them back in.
yeah, go ahead and put them back in.
And
Click them in there. And then we're going to, well, here's where you're going to have an issue. Here's the problem.
You can't drill through there, so you have to clamp them. Cleat them, then clamp.
Yeah, we have to clamp the front. Because what you're going to end up, here's what we're going to do. We'll slide it up on the oil pan. We're going to back drill through this hole into the oil pan fin. The 1/8 inch hole is right there, right in front of the cleco, or right behind the cleco.
Well, you,
the head of a
So-
would it be any
could,
better?
you could put bolts in place of the
I
cleat.
mean,
Yeah,
Yeah, we can-
how do these
Those are going to be
Attached.
bolts.
I put
For
bolts
right
in there.
now,
Would the
Bolt them
head
together.
of, would the head of the boat,
How you can do it?
bolt
be
them
any better
together
than a
and
cleat
grab it?
these are just to hold these things on temporarily.
About time, just about time just about time I get it. I get home, they report about an hour, sit down, turn the news on, and sleep through it.
Where's a copper cleco?
We shall see what we shall see.
On this.
no matter which side faces.
Not yet. But, you know, just aircraft practice, bolt head on the, leading edge, nuts on the trailing edge. So then we put this guy up here, and it's right at the very front of the oil pan, right where it comes down.
Okay.
Right at the very front there. So, if you want to, go ahead and back drill through those and go through 2 fins.
2 fins.
Go through 2 fins there.
You tell me what those 2 fins. One. And 2.
Okay, good. Throw a cleco in there.
Got it.
One.
We'll go through 2 fins.
Here, the reason is if you just do the one, you don't have the proper 1 to 1.5 threads showing after the end of the nut. So I make the nut longer because the nut's going to fit in between the first and second fin, and the rest.
Liters of fuel you can carry.
You're too high on your side. There you go.
There,
Right there.
okay.
I got through it.
Goes with you tomorrow. I've got a bunch in the truck, so I can do
Well,
it.
that's fine.
You gotta get a thin ply.
We start assembling the whole thing together here. So basically make sure all the holes are deburred everything's ready to put back together. You would bolt these 2 brackets onto the oil pan first, and then bolt this on. Now, while we're talking about it, in between this oil pan bracket and this oil cooler bracket, when you bolt them together, you can put this grommet in between the 2 of them to provide a little bit of shock mount there. So when you're putting this together, just
Between the 2 brackets.
between the 2 brackets, we're going to put this grommet in there. Now, let me take this apart here a little bit. Uh-oh, that's tight.
Now, when you bolt up to the...
That's screw.
Yeah, put it back in
Yep.
that dump shit, then
Gotcha.
you go over.
Hey, Carl, hold on just a sec. Yeah, like we just said, which you can bounce the nut in here in an open end wrench in between fin number 1 and fin number 2. That's where it's going to go. And then the rest of the thread part of the bolt will go into fin number 2 to give you correct thread past the end of the nut here.
What kind of nut is that?
This is I don't remember the nomenclature. It's an AN3- or it's AN365, but it's a heat nut or a metal lock nut.
They're in there.
And yes, they are in there. In firewall applications, remember you need to use the metal lock nuts.
And
Okay.
I don't know if y'all used this before, or maybe this is a kind of a standard.
All right, what we're going to do now is we're going to put a 45-degree fitting on here. 2 45-degree fittings onto the oil cooler here. So I need a pair of needle nose. Here we go, right here. This will work.
Yeah, even those types.
And we use, around here, we use this Permatex 2B forma gasket sealer on everything. We use it on our brake fittings, we use it on our fuel fittings, we use it on our oil fittings. It works fine with us. So that's what we use here. You can get this down at any auto parts store. So just some of this gunky stuff, and it gets all over everything. It doesn't come out for about a week.
White shirts.
Yeah,
Right.
it's my show shirt. All right, a little bit on the first couple of threads, and just start it in there. Ooh, that's going to
What's
be
the final orientation?
forward.
Forward.
Yeah, the 45 degrees is going to be forward.
How do we know which way it's forward right now?
You pick it. It's your orientation.
Oh,
And-
and it did have to do with the fact that when you had it together, the horizontal nuts.
Oh, because this will, when we put it back together, that'll determine. Okay.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a consensus on which way the fitting ought to face?
I called from Kingston, New York, on a February windy day coming down the Hudson. This guy was in a J.
Now another part of this, where's my oil cooler bypass?
He was laying here someplace.
Yeah, it's the round piece.
It's over here.
Where do we?
Pick that
I
paper
was
up.
looking at it earlier.
There we go. All right, somebody, this is the oil cooler bypass. Right now, the way the engine's set up, it has no oil cooler circuit in it. It goes through the filter, through the pan, and that's it. And through the engine, obviously. To have an oil cooler system in it, it has to have this bypass in here. So somebody, go ahead and take these 2 fittings out. We're not going to use those press-on fittings. And with 2 of these 1/8 inch NPT to AN6 fittings here. What I skipped over is making a flange on the front side of this. And we don't include the material. You've got a ton of that, well not a ton, but you got the L angle left over from the kit, and you got scrap aluminum left over from the kit. And the instructions show you the flange I made to put the rubber gasket material around there. You know, that orange gasket material that you can buy from Spruce. We're going to start including it. We have not been including it in the kit. We will start doing that. But you can pick up a roll of it from Spruce for next to nothing. It's, you know, $10 maybe, something like that. And make a flange. That the flange, when you make it, the rubber fitting will go right over the inlet on the front of the cowl.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll put this all up in place here in a second because we're going to go over to,
About these.
yes you are, and you're going to put a little bit of that gunk on the first couple of threads there.
with a little bit of oil
Not.
on the
Yes.
face of it, where
Yep.
there's oil.
So Mark, you,
It's
The rubber
Visually
gaskets you
inspect,
got
I
about
think you can see the ends of those inside, can't you?
and then this
You
is
know,
what they're
I'll
doing.
bet
Make
you
sure
auto
that
sport
there's-
have those.
Once you get tight,
Baffle
make sure
material?
we don't have any
The
cuts
rubber
in there,
stuff.
you know?
Oh yeah.
Because, you know, it's just, I mean, all air filters have that crap around them.
Yeah, so it's, you know, it's just a rubber material is all it is.
Well, the thing is,
This O-ring comes in here, comes with it obviously,
And it flattens out.
and it will flatten out. Now I'll sell you one, I forget how much they are actually, but we can sell them here. Or what you can do is take the
A little O-ring off the...
O-ring off the oil cooler, off your old oil cooler, put it in there temporarily, at least until you get one of these from us, and it'll work just fine also.
Or what about the oil filter?
That's what
The
it-
new oil filter will have another one.
Oh,
Just take off
you
your
said-
old oil
He
filter.
said
I thought
cooler,
you
but he
said
meant
cooler.
filter.
Oh, I'm sorry,
filter.
filter.
Okay, we know what you meant.
Yeah. Used to tell my soldiers, do what I say, not what I, or do what I mean, not what I say.
There you go.
Okay, where's that stud adapter?
Somebody take the strap wrench and remove the oil filter.
Got a bucket or something?
Is that baffle 2 or 3 inches wide?
It's this way.
Well, whichever.
Yeah, it's 2 or 3, and what you're going to do is probably,
They have both sizes.
I would get the 3. No, the 2 should work. The 2 should work fine. What we've done is we've removed the oil filter and get this piece out of the engine parts kit, and it just screws right on top of the stud that's right there. Nope, requires no Permatex or anything like that. It'll just screw right on top of the other one. It's an oil filter adapter, and I just had my wrench here and a 3/4 inch wrench, and just snug it up. Don't crank down, just snug it up. That's all it needs right there. Then the next thing is you can take some of the residual oil that's sitting here. We might have to get a little bit more. You have a little bit, there we go. And just wet this O-ring a little bit, just like you do when you put a new filter on. And all it does is slide right over that adapter thing we just put in. Where'd the paper towel go? Thank you.
The only thing that holds that strap is the oil filter.
That's it. Now, the orientation of these two fittings. The rear fitting goes straight down. The forward fitting comes out at about a 45-degree angle there or so. And as simple as that, if you want to take a picture of it, that's in the directions. We'll talk about that. All right, so we got the orientation of the fitting there, and the only thing you do is screw the oil filter back in place. You kind of have to hold it there. And it's just like a regular old car filter. Put it on hand tight. And then give it about a 1/4 turn or 1/8 of a turn, something like right about that. There she goes.
How would you safety wire that?
Okay, let's get our oil cooler, assemble it again just enough so we can put it in place, because now we're going to measure the oil lines. And we'll go into, well actually, I don't think we recorded how to make an oil line last time, did we?
There's a park in Ireland, that's the big...
This is one of the learning experiences I wanted to come away from. So,
How can we do this?
Is this method on that new download?
It's not on this piece, it's on a separate download though, it's on the website. Let's come over to the vise over here, and I'm things on one of these oil lines.
I have no vices.
Here's what we do.
Here.
At
You
your
got it
point,
now.
yeah, I got it now. You ready, John? Mm-hmm. When you've measured your line, the distance you want to cut it, wrap it nice and tight with some masking tape. All right, so we've got it nice and tight. Then take what we use here is a chop saw. Not everybody has a chop saw in their house. Use a Dremel with a metal cutoff bit. Anything that's a high-speed rotating tool with a metal cutoff bit. If you use a hacksaw, you're going to do nothing but frustrate yourself.
Yes.
And the Spruce catalog says, "Oh, cut it with a hacksaw."
No.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Get a Dremel with a nice high-speed metal cutoff bit, and your life will be a lot simpler. But what helps is wrap this very tightly with masking tape, and then when you're done, most of it, what you're trying to do is prevent the stainless steel lines there from fraying, the braid from fraying.
Cut it through the tape?
Cut it right through the tape. Now we're going to put an end on, then we'll take it over to the cooler, we'll actually put it on the cooler, then we're going to mark how far we want to make our next line, and then we'll cut one. I'll show you what we'll do, and we'll cut one. But while we're sitting over here, we can put an end on, and we'll get that on for the view. See how nice and even that is? And this is the tricky part. So what I do is, we've got a set of these vise, it's a vise insert. It's a pipe holder is basically what it is for a vise. So we've got some diamond on the top and some diamonds on the edge there. Plastic should work just as fine. You can usually find these in Home Depot or Lowe's, maybe Harbor Freight, you know, any of the tool companies like that. So set that in your vise. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the hose vertically in here, and enough to hold it pretty tight.
While you're doing that, instead of a Dremel, can you use like a die grinder with a metal cutting disc on it too? 'Cause
Sure.
that's high speed.
Yeah. Anything that's not going to fray this thing. A sawing back and forth action with teeth on it just...
And a bandsaw is just as bad.
The bandsaw is just as bad. I've tried it on the bandsaw, it doesn't work as well. Same thing, even though it's only going in one direction, it doesn't work as well because it's got teeth, and the teeth grab on the braid and it just starts fraying it.
Yep. Okay.
So, all right, now I've got this pretty stiff in here. I don't want it to move downward. Here's my straight fitting. We're going to use 3 straight fittings and 1 45-degree angle fitting. Unscrew the straight fitting here, and we're going to take, there we go, we'll take the nipple part of it and we'll just set it aside. What we're going to do is, this is the part, the flange part that we're going to put over the hose. And this is what's going to get you every single time when you start to insert this over the hose. That's what usually starts making things fray. So the less fraying you have to begin with, the better. I'll just take just a drop of oil, and I'll just put just a touch, I mean just a little bit, on the inside here. Now, for this particular fitting, I grab a socket, and this socket is a 3/4 inch socket, so that the fitting can go inside the socket, just like so. All right? Then, just, you know what, more. Then I just nice and carefully roll it over, and oh, let me check one thing. Make sure you're tightening. There we go. I'm just going to roll it over there, press down. That should have done it.
Is that thing threaded inside?
It's not threaded. I'm just using a tightening action on it, just to push it down. The edge of the hose is right up against the threads in there.
Okay.
Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
All right. David, you okay? See, Ray?
Yep.
Okay, so that's what you want. That's what you're looking for. Is the end of the hose is right up against the bottom of the threads.
Still for a second.
Okay. All right. Now that we've got that, we do need a little piece of masking tape. Hold on just a second. Now all I'm doing with this masking tape is making a reference. What I want to know is if this hose end has pushed out while I'm putting the threading the nipple into it. So that's all we're doing with this masking tape, is just making a reference line. So I double check. Yep, that hose is right up against there. And I'm just going to wrap some masking tape around the end of the fitting, so that way I'll see if my stainless steel braided line has pushed out of the fitting. Okay, now use the side jaws here, and we're going to lock it into the vise using the side jaws. Don't crank down on it because it's aluminum fitting. We're going to get it in there snug. I'm going to put just a drop. This is just regular old, I think this is mineral. Yeah, I think it's mineral. Just put a drop on the nipple here, just a little bit. And we'll start it in there just a little bit. Just get the threads. Make sure it's not cross-threaded. Okay? I got it started. And this one is, I believe, 11/16. Yeah, this is 11/16 box wrench. So, I'm right-handed. With my left hand, I'm going to push forward to keep the hose from backing out of the fitting. I'm going to take my 11/16 inch wrench here, work it over the blue part of the fitting onto the nipple part, And I'm just going to start screwing it in. Oops.
It has to bottom.
It doesn't bottom. What you're looking for is about a paper's width between the nipple fitting and the back part of the fitting there. Just a paper's width. You don't want to bottom out.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not? Because they tell me not to. I mean, that's what the parts say. Don't bottom them out. But basically, that's what you end up with, just like that.
Fine, you'd easily damage them, I guess.
I think what they don't want you to sit there and start pulling the threads back and you start bottoming out and you don't realize. But that is the fitting, and that's how you put it on. You can take your piece of tape off there.
And you didn't get any space, so you know your hose didn't back out.
Yep, and I didn't see my hose back out, so that's the fitting, and it's done. So let's go over to
Put it on the plane.
the plane. We'll hook it on the oil cooler, and I'll show you how to mark your next piece. See, that was a lot better.
So easy. You made it look so hard before.
Well, now I've done a dozen of these things. It actually works now. Okay.
You had the tape on there originally to cut it, right?
Yeah, the original piece of tape was to cut it. The second piece of tape was just to mark it. So, what we're going to do now is I'm going to put this fitting on the oil cooler because it's a little bit easier for me to work up front, up top. I'm not going to snug it down, it's there, just finger tight. I'm going to screw.
So on a permanent basis, are you using that pipe filler?
No, because this is it's an AN6 fitting. It's just a Titan fitting.
Okay.
All right, now what I do is I'm looking at this fitting. If you look very, very closely, there's a scribe line on the red part of the fitting here. I'm going to tighten that up there. Okay, so there's a scribe line there. So what I'm going to do is hold my hose up against it where that scribe line is. And that's approximately where I want to cut it. So if somebody, where'd my pen go? Thank you. So the scribe line on the red part of the fitting, let's go. And since I can't get it exactly where I want it, I'm going to go just a touch long. Yeah, longer is better than shorter. But not too much longer either.
That's what you said last night.
Length does matter.
And see, you know what? That's going to end up a little short, I believe. So I don't like. So I want it actually. I'm going to put it up here. I'd much rather have it a little bit longer and enough. Yeah, that should be right about right. Okay. So take my fitting back off. All right.
Now,
Tape it,
are
cut
you
it.
going to make like an index so that you...
There you go, just nice and tight.
Is that going to be enough?
Yeah, let's do a couple more reps there.
Is this the same thing for fuel line to do this or not?
Certain, yeah, was it the Aeroquip 303 fuel line? The steel braided fuel line would be the same type of fittings.
Same fittings. Right?
Yeah. If you use the same fittings, yes. And supposedly these are reusable fittings. Supposedly.
Enough?
Yeah, a couple more twists there. More doesn't hurt it.
Okay.
But it's a different hole, so right?
It's a different diameter hose. Yeah, it should be good. All right, so we've wrapped our tape right over the center of the line. Give myself a mark again, right about there. Now I'm going to take over the chop saw here, and I'm going to cut it on our chop saw. Okay, now I just work this thing. I'll just go through it very, very slowly. Ed, watch out. All this stuff's flying that way.
carburetor wheel that's on that?
Hmm?
Is that a carburetor wheel that's on there?
It's just a metal cutting wheel. It's a
But I wouldn't do it on a tile or anything. It had tile saws.
Oh, just.
Yeah. They have saws that do it nice and neat.
okay. How's that end look there? Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Pretty good.
It's just try not to get any braids, you know, any fraying going there. And
Got that
yeah, yeah, something like that. It might be a little high. Bring it down just a touch. There you go. There you go.
Because if a student can do this, then you can talk
You know what a
about.
flaring tool is? Copper tubing?
Okay, yeah, just get so it's not going to go down. Okay, good. All right, touch of oil on that, just a touch. And just push it around in there with your finger. All right, and put that fitting in the socket.
Just going down with the flare down.
Yeah, the flare's gonna be down. Put it in the socket, and then kind of roll it on, but try not to push the other side out. And you're gonna push some force down on it and tighten it as you go down. Just keep on. There you go. Yeah, put some force on it. There we go. At least we got started. Let's see what we got. And yep, you got it.
You know, it's totally ruined.
Now you can see it. I can see the tip.
Yep.
Okay.
Now you gotta get the other way and.
Yeah, so you got the rubber is all the way up against the bottom of the threads there.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
The only thing we didn't do is put tape here to make sure.
Now you're gonna put the tape
Now you
on.
put the tape?
Yeah, now you're gonna do that.
Okay.
Yeah, we weren't worried about that because we didn't have the fitting in place yet. Okay, so now horizontally in the vise there, in the teeth, go ahead and grab it on the fitting itself
Okay.
with just a little bit of the fitting showing through.
Down a little bit down.
Grab the red the red hex there, so it lines up. Okay, quite tight. So nice pressure on your left hand. Make sure it doesn't back out on you at all. And you might have to back it up just the box back up just a touch. Okay, take the witness tape off there, and let's go put it on the plane, see if it fits.
You can only do that for the kids.
And the first.
Yeah, you want to do it on the first one. Just want to go straight down. All right.
Congratulations there, yeah.
Looks
Good.
nice.
There we go.
How tight do we actually can we come back?
Snug them down.
Just snug it down?
Yeah, snug them down with a wrench.
Okay.
All right. Okay, we got another hose end over there. Who wants to build the other straight fitting on there? Okay, good. Now gently wrap it up, around and up to this fitting over here. And you're going to leave yourself a little bit of area where you can put a cushion clamp here or something like that. And then, remember I talked about there's a scribe line in this part of the fitting, and figure out just about where you want to go along that scribe line, and then just mark it on the hose there.
Have an ADL clamp around so you could kind of.
Yeah. Just
Don't go too far forward because you're going to end up hitting the front of the cowl too. But I figure something right about there should be good. And you could always run it up this way or down that way just a little bit more. But where's that scribe line there?
Yeah, I can see the scribe line.
Okay.
Okay with you?
looks fine.
Alrighty. Then unhook that guy again. All right, Don. And he's going to have some markings too there. There's a Sharpie on the top of the block there. Fit this ram. Oh, you know what? Let me get a 3/16 hex here. We're going to take out this one, and that one. We're going to take out the valve cover screws.
Great Falls. Yes, I don't think this is in any books that I know of, but
I'll get you a paper towel.
it's okay.
Start it by hand.
It just so happens that Great Falls is the perfect antidote to 4 years in New Orleans.
Just get it to where it fits down in the cylinder barrel fins, where it's sitting flush on the outside along the rocker covers here. Now we've removed the 1st, 3rd, and 6th cap screws from the rocker covers. Right over the top here, where it fits fairly close to the rocker covers, and then you want these parts of the duct to fit down the same cylinder barrel fin all the way on all 3 cylinders here. There we go.
Right there. That's it.
Okay. Now, just so we'll know in the future which ones it was,
Last through the
I'm just going to mark the outside fin here with just a black magic marker there. Now, the other thing we need to do, John, if you want to come around this side now. The other part of what we're going to do is, you can barely see through here where that hole is for the cap screw. Right about there. And ooh, that one's harder to see. Right about there. And we're going to have to do a little bit. We're going to do just a touch of trimming. See where where it's hitting the rocker arm cover there? We don't want that. This is nothing critical right here. The only thing you kind of need to worry about is not taking too much material away from this hole. But just take a little bit off of there, and also make a nice little piece right there for this oil return line to go by. Let's see here, it's a little close around this washer here, so we'll give ourselves some room there. And we'll take a little bit off the back.
That's going to send you back hole now.
Yeah, we'll be all right. What we do here at the shop, we don't provide this. You can make it out of scrap aluminum, 016, 020, doesn't matter. We make some brackets that are going to fit, my drawing's horrible, right here. You're going to drill that hole in there, and you're going to rivet it in to the ram air duct, and then that bracket's going to take the brunt of tightening these things down. So don't worry about that too much. And eventually, honestly, over time, when you take these on and off, they will crack, and you're going to put the little doubler there, a little stiffener there anyway. So that's what you're going to do. And rivet it with two rivets from the back side out, because you don't want to rivet them into the fins here. Okay, so this one, let's get, you can either use my barrel sanders I've got, pneumatic, or whatever, and trim these little pieces off here, and then we're going to drill a 1/4 inch hole in these spots. All right?
Center that one a little better.
There you go. Okay, and Dave, if you want to do the exact same thing.
So should we just go ahead and put those brackets on first off, or?
Yeah, you can. I would. We actually have some machine here next door. We buy them by the hundreds. So, because when they do all these, they do them, but they're very, very simple to make. Just some scrap aluminum. All right, let's see how this. Okay. There we go. Now we've got it in here. We can kind of see what it's hitting on. It's not hitting on these. That's good. We can take just a touch more off the top there. I'd take a little bit more off of here.
Why wouldn't you hold it with both valve cover screws?
That's how they sent them to me. We didn't make these.
Oh, you did?
No.
Those cutouts were already
Those
there.
cuts were already
That
there.
was there, that was there, that was there.
Yep.
Okay.
So, and it's up there we go. And we worked around the valve covers. We also drilled the holes for the cap screws to go back in. This will hold it. And also, don't forget you can make, I would go ahead and do it anyway. While you're playing with them, it'll take you 20 minutes of your time. Some 016 or 020 scrap aluminum you have hanging around the house.
Make a doubler.
5/16 inch hole in there, a doubler, a couple of rivets, you'll be fine. It'll fit just fine. You're gonna,
Is it way overkill to,
Well, I got it under the black one.
okay, what you do next, you've got the initial fitting on your fiberglass ram air ducts here. Go back into the kit, and they're officially called gull wings. Find your 4 gull wings. Now Jabiru will tell you to put these in here and then trim these like so to stay over the gull wings. And that's hours worth of work that will just drive you crazy to get them fit nice and tight. So what we do here is I cut the gull wings off so they're inside the ram air duct, and you just put the ram air ducts down. It works a lot nicer and it's a lot faster. So, huh? I bet you it is more efficient because now you've got the ram air duct fitting going all the way down the cylinder barrel.
It's sealed better, too.
So what I do is, what we did before is we marked the outside fin. So now we know that the ram air duct is fitting between these 2 fins. So I put my gull wing with the tabs here up against the cylinder heads.
and you want to make sure when you cut that you just overlap the next fin outboard of the one that's marked.
Yeah, that's what I've done. I've taken the next fin in, which is the inside of it, and I'm marking a line here and one right there, and I kind of sight down the middle and I get a middle line there. So somebody can
Take that with snips.
yep, get some tin snips and cut that guy off. And I'm going to mark this one also.
And that's just so that the fiberglass will overlap it and go.
And it goes
cleanly.
straight down.
It'll
Yep.
fit in that same slot.
Okay.
Exactly. Before, if you put these in here like this, you're going to have to sit there and trim and cut and trim and cut and trim and cut to get this little arm here, this little leg, to fit on top of the gull wing. And I did that, and it took me 2 hours when I did my kit. I didn't know any better before I started building these here. So if you follow the Jabiru instructions, they have this whole big thing about how did it work. You start with the safety wire going up and through a gull wing, down through a cylinder, up through a gull wing, down through a cylinder, all the way back over the top, and tie it together with a spring. That's crazy. Here's what we do. I'll take a piece of safety wire that they sent me. And watch your eyes, I get crazy with this stuff. Come on. I'll just put it halfway through here. Goodness, I won't need this much anyway. All right, and get it nice and tight up here.
What was your initial length?
I'll just do it in half. That's close.
This is what came with the kit.
Yeah, this came out of the kit. Came out of the. That's about right. You won't need all of this. We're going to end up cutting most of it off.
Should be enough to wrap around all this.
Exactly. And then what I do to make my life a little bit easier is I put some good twists up here on this part. Again, watch her. It's the only bad thing about the pliers there. Ah, didn't mean to do that. There we go. And then for the rest of this, because I've learned something with this, if these two pieces are going all over the place, you'll never feed them through. So what I do is I just put some nice easy bends on here. And I'm going to cut off just a little bit of this excess down here. So, okay, thanks. The next thing is I make a J out of it. Something like so. Because you're going to feed this down cylinder barrel and up, down the right side of the center barrel and up the left side of the center barrel. What you have to watch for is the push rod tubes that are down here. You don't want to get underneath those and start yanking up on it. Then we have problems. This has got to go around the cylinder barrels. I also need to know, where'd my pen go? I have a black magic marker here somewhere. It looks like it's going to fit best between, oh, I don't know, this one and that one. I'm just marking on the fins which ones I want to send it down, and in between which two fins do I want this wire to go down. And then the fun begins. So you push it around the cylinder barrel and then get it to come back up the other side, just like that.
Wow.
Some days it works like that, some days it's 5 minutes. And then untwist the wire here. Okay, and then feed one piece of wire through each hole and slide it down. Go ahead and cut off your excess here because you're just going to sit there and whack you in the face. Speaking from experience.
They would fall back down. Get me fishing the wires.
And I'm giving a couple initial turns right here just so the wires don't fall back down. And we want to pull it tight.
So you're not going to use the spring at all?
Nope. Mm-mm. Now give it a good tug here to make sure you got that side down nice and tight. And I've locked the safety wire pliers. And right about there. There they go. They're in there.
No spring at all.
Mm-mm.
You don't secure the air duct on this side?
You're going to run another piece of wire around through here.
Okay.
Yep. And bend it over so you don't hurt yourself. There you go. And that puts the gull wing in. There we go. And see, it's on. Now, we'll go ahead and do this other part and then we'll call it a night. In the little bag of hardware there, Carl, there's that little bitty piece, looks like a rector set L angle there. Let's see here, here it is. Here's our bag.
Oh.
All right, what we're looking for is this little bitty piece of angle with the 2 1/8-inch holes already drilled in it. And what we do with this is you find a good spot somewhere right on the edge here of the ram air duct, and we'll make a little mark there. Let's move it up just a little bit. There we go.
This is okay.
Yeah. Did it go through? Is that the center of the barrel? Okay, good. And what we need to do, bring it down just a touch, just off the radius there. Was there a little washer in there with an 1/8-inch hole?
A little, yes.
Okay.
Is this for safety wire on this side?
Mm-hmm. Oh, let me do one other thing. I gotta see one other thing here. That's gonna go out. What I'm doing now is I'm just gonna take a look where I want to run this other piece of safety wire. Good, we're gonna use it. And same thing, I'm just gonna give myself an idea. I wanna go between these 2 fins right here. So it's basically two fins over from where you've got the ram air duct running down in there. Okay, somebody take this 1/8-inch hole. Again, I'm using my little J-hook trick here. And we'll try to work it around the cylinder barrel again. Come on.
Very, very easy. Go twang. You turn that.
Use safety glasses to work the safety wire.
Yeah. Hey, guys.
Be safe.
Yeah, what I did is I ran a piece of safety wire that came in the kit through the center barrel here, around the center barrel. And now there's a little spring here.
That's a deal I'll never pass up.
I guess not. Especially when you got the man what I am doing it for you.
Hey, it sounded like a pretty good idea at the time, but it's sure gotten better as the days go on.
I'm going to break this safety wire. There we go.
Try to close that a little bit.
And we'll just turn this down.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I set it down there. I kind of looked. Yeah, that's about right, and set it in there. So now we got the spring here. The safety wires around the barrel. We've put the spring on there. We've tightened the safety wire, and it's just captured on that. And when the ram air duct gets over here, we'll put the other one on.
Okay, the drill's stuck in there, so you got it.
Reverse.
Reverse the drill. There you go.
So you use the same trick for getting the wire through?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. There we go.
Oh, but this one, but this one.
Yeah, it's spring. And then for this other side here. Right now, this will work.
Aluminum strip.
This will work
Oh, yeah,
perfectly
right.
fine for a couple hundred hours, but eventually it'll crack. It's no big deal. You can put a little piece of 5-minute epoxy, a little piece of cloth over it, put an aluminum doubler on it. You'll be fine forever. Honestly, just there you go. That's the ram air duct installed on the cylinder. For the placement of these baffles, what you're trying to do is get the baffle material over the top of the cylinder barrel. So it's right here, right at the top of the cylinder barrel. Here's on this particular side, this is the left bank, 2, 4, and 6. Cylinder number 2, cylinder number 4, cylinder number 6. Number 6 in the back already has a baffle that comes from the factory. As you can see, we've drawn a line right here for the middle, for the number 4 cylinder. And the only thing you do is you take your little baffle here and just put it right on the top of the cylinder barrel. And that's where you would like it to go. And just glue that in with some 5-minute epoxy. You can tack it in place and then, let it set up, and then you can make a nice little bead of epoxy like this one is. The other thing is when you're going to glue those in, make sure you sand all the surfaces so the epoxy has something to grab to. And like I said, you can make these out of aluminum also, just some scraps 016 or 020, and you can rivet it in there. We've had people do all kinds of different ways. The main goal is just trying to get a little bit more air to go down over a particular cylinder. But just remember, you may put more air over that cylinder, you're blocking air to the cylinder behind it. Okay? The only thing I do with these is we use 5-minute epoxy, just a 2-part epoxy, a little bit of cotton flock in there, and just to get it like kind of a peanut butter consistency, and then glue these in. No special trick to it, just get a bead of glue. You can see this is how they come from Australia with the bead of glue. That's just a 5-minute epoxy also. If you're using aluminum, rivet them in.
You angle them?
Nope, we don't yangle the ones over 1 and 3. Yeah,
Okay.
just put them straight up and down right there.
If you want to make your fiber.
And if it's not West Marine, but it's West Systems G5 2-part epoxy, that's what we use around the shop. You can go to Lowe's and get one of those little squirt tubes with the 2 parts of epoxy going. That'll work just as fine also. Okay, the other thing you have to do is you need to secure both of the halves here. See, they come with a split front here. So same thing, what we do is I take some 2-part epoxy and I tack it together just to get it to stay. And then once that dries in about 5 or 10 minutes, then I'll get a piece of cloth, fiberglass cloth, and I'll just paint some 2-part epoxy on there and lay the cloth in it. And simple as that, and that will hold these together. All right. you'll see when you get your ram air ducts, there'll be a piece of flat rubber here. Once you get this on the plane, you get the bottom part tacked together in the size it's supposed to be like that. One of the last things we do is I sand off the one side with a piece of sandpaper on the rubber, and I sand around the outside edge of the ram air duct. And now just same thing, 5-minute epoxy, and tack this on halfway on, halfway off. And just get some spring clamps and hold it on while it dries.
Is there a more or less problematic place to put the butt joint, or do you overlap?
I don't even I just cut them where they end up.
It doesn't matter
And
where that ends up.
no, probably on the bottom would be just as good as any place. But that's like I said, half on, half off, 5-minute epoxy, glue it in place. Now on the front side, yep. So on the front of these, again, scrap aluminum, scrap fiberglass, whatever else you can find around the shop or your neighbor's shop. Go ahead and get your ram air duct on here, and you've tacked this together, obviously. We slide up a piece in place. Let's just do it this way. And what we want to do is get this front air dam here about midway up the cylinder. And once you get it cut out like where you want it, this one's a little shy on the side there. Same thing, if you use aluminum, fasten it in place. If you use fiberglass, you can 5-minute epoxy that in place also. That's basically, you would obviously cover this in, cut it a little bit better than it is. But that's what you're trying to do, is you want to cover the front half of the cylinder. Some people have actually tried to ramp these up, and that does not help whatsoever. One other note about if you use any type of leftover fiberglass, if there's any gel coat or anything else on it, go ahead and sand all of that off so you just get the pure fiberglass, and sand any of the bonding surfaces before you put the 5-minute on there. Because if you try to bond the gel coat, it'll just pop right off in 5 or 10 hours through vibration. So, yep, just sand all that gel coat off. Yep, that'll work. Let's talk a little bit about the muffler and the muffs that come with it. This is your cabin heat muff, inlet and an outlet. And on the back side, there are 2 little baffles on each side here that need to fit on. What we usually end up doing, since Jabiru, there's a little bit of variation in the width of their mufflers when they weld these up. So we cheat on the side of being too short. It won't fit over the top securely. See, it doesn't lay down tight. So what we need to do is trim off, well, we can trace the back side of this here. Just put it on the back, on the muffler here, and we'll trim that. Yeah, there we go. So it looks like we need to take off about 1/4 of an inch. So what we can do is take 1/8 of an inch off on each side. So let me get the tin snips. Oh, here they are. And if somebody wants to snip off about 1/8 of an inch on each side there, so we can get it to fit down on here. And what I do is I just start in from the center, work my way out, then back out the other way, and finish it up. Yep. We don't know. Pete would have to answer that one. It's very possible. I've got the old style, the 2 coming out.
That's actually mine.
You have 2 or 1?
2, I think.
Yeah, nothing wrong with it at all. Actually, this one's a touch quieter. They redesigned it a little bit to meet the European strict noise decibel levels. So this is what we get now. And, you know, Jabiru, all of a sudden, this is what started showing up. Okay, let's see if that fits, and we can clean it up. This one is the cabin heat muff, and it does go on top here. This will be, well, it's actually 45 degrees angled. This is forward, that's aft, top and bottom, obviously. Yeah, this is about where it sits. If we're lucky, we won't have to loosen any of the headers to put this on, and we'll just have to see. Basically, you're fitting the pipes into the holes that are on the muffler. My side's in.
And close.
Okay.
Oh,
There you go. Oh, perfect. Yep, bring her on in. Now you can use a rubber mallet or a plastic mallet. Just if you do tap on the weld, not on the can itself, because the can will dent. And there's a little welded stop here.
Get all the way to that?
Try to get all the way to that. Yes, here you go.
Got it.
You got it? Okay, my side backed out just a touch. All right.
You know what it is? We're bottomed out on the heat shield here.
And that's okay. Yeah, they did.
It's pivoting on that. So that's okay.
Yep.
Heat shield will deflect with it.
So, in some applications I've run into, no matter what you do, you will not be able to get it up to the stop. That's okay. There's about an inch and a half of exhaust pipe now into this muffler anyway, so you're all right. Here's a welded tab on the top of the muffler here to this one. So just hook it on. Might be easier to go this way. And pull it down. There's the first one, and there's another one on the bottom here.
These have to be safety wires.
I do.
You do?
Yeah, I do them. All right, somebody just asked, like I was saying, if you're an old Rotax guy, and especially if you're in a pusher configuration, you usually safety wired these and you ran some high temp RTV along the bead of along the spring. And what that theoretically would do is if the spring did fail, pieces and parts wouldn't go fly through your prop in a pusher configuration. I safety wire these here loosely. That way, if the spring does fail, you at least have the safety wire, attached between the tailpipe and the muffler. I don't crank it down; it's just loosely in there so it'll stay. I do not put any RTV on these.
Safety wire through the coil.
Yeah, through the coil and through the two tabs. Okay. That's just how I do it. Right. There are two different size outlets on the cabin heat muff here. This is the 2-inch. This is the 2 1/4. On the bottom cowl, on the passenger side or the right side of the aircraft, is a 2-inch NACA scoop. So 2-inch to 2-inch is coming in here. So you'll put the 2-inch on the right-hand side of the muffler, and then you'll slide this into place right there, and the 2 1/4 will be on the other side. And then what you're going to have to do is run your piece of 2 1/4-inch scat hose back around over here to your cabin heat inlet. Now, so this is basically where the cabin heat muff is going to reside on the muffler. The way you hold this on is with the two worm clamps, the large 7-inch worm clamps that were sent in the kit. But what I want to do, does that look good there, Ed?
Yeah,
yep, and it fits. And basically, the bottom flange here of this muff is sitting right on top of your tailpipe. That's a good reference there. Mark a line along the bottom flange so you know.
What we'll do is put a contour and then I'll go duplicate it.
You can run around that.
Okay.
And then also, hold on, let me get that. Mark a line along the flange, on the bottom flange here on the muffler, so when I take it off, I have a reference point where I can strap this on. It's much easier to strap this muff on with it off the plane. I mean, it can be done, but it's a little bit easier when you take it off. All right, let's go ahead and take that off. The other thing we need to worry about is the cabin heat, the carb heat muff. So on this one, on mine, on an old style cowl, I know it will fit on the bottom. And to be quite frank with you, right at this moment, I don't know if this is going to fit on the bottom.
You get away from that weld, you got that, right?
But we should be okay. Yeah. And what you would do is you can have it facing forward just a touch, and then you take your scat hose and run it down and then up to the front inlet on the air box. So, and then you can also use the same straps through the carb heat muff that holds on. The two straps will hold on both muffs onto the muffler. So we can do the same thing here, Ed. Is actually, let me run it. Yeah, just mark a line there.
No.
No, now we have our reference line, so we can pop this muffler off and we can put the straps on. There you go.
Okay, let's bring.
When we had the muffler up, we noticed at the bottom of the plenum for the carburetor there was a couple of cap screws down, and they were just touching or about to touch the muffler can. So what Don's going to do is take a little ball peen hammer and gently peen these in just a little bit, so it should let it set in so they don't rub up against these cap screws.
A fine instrument.
Peen away.
There we go. That should do it.
That should work for me.
Okay, another thing we noticed while we're fitting the cabin heat muff on was where it needs to be. It was riding just a little bit on the top of the muffler tailpipe here. So what Ed did is he took it over to the grinder and he ground out just a little bit of the bottom flanger. Yeah, I think he did. Just so it'll set nice and flush there and it won't interfere with the tailpipe at all. Okay. Now, where do our big clamps go? Here's one. So what you can do one of two things. We've wrapped these clamps around the top of these muffs with no issues whatsoever, like so. You don't have to. If you would like to, there's no issue with putting slots in there. It's completely up to you. There we go. And what also, like we talked about earlier, is go ahead and use the same clamp for both of them. Oh, we're going to run around this way anyway. So what we need to, here's another issue you have to look at is here are the slots for the clamps, right there and there. You got to make sure they're not going to interfere with the inlet tubes or the exhaust headers. There we go, the exhaust headers coming into the muffler. So you have to work that a little bit fore and aft there because it's going to come right about here over, and the same thing with this one over. So those would avoid it. Well, let's check the bottom side here and get this clamp to slide through there. There we go. And so we had drawn a line on the muffler here about where we wanted that to go. In this particular one, this is the carb heat muff. It's just taking air that's around the muffler and it's warm air, and when you do open that, it sucks it through. On this one, here on the cabin heat, you're actually pressurizing air through there. You're putting cold air through, pushing it across the muffler and pushing it back out. That's why you have to have the dump at the cabin heat mixer box. And if you're in the summertime and you're not going to run cabin heat at all and you want to unhook that, still make sure this is dumping overboard because you don't want to have a hot spot anywhere or start, heating up scat hose and things like that. But that's pretty much your assembly right there. And that's how it finishes up. Here's one other thing you have to worry about or just look at is you're working with two things. You're working with this tailpipe coming out and you're working with the inlets going in. And so the clamp here is a little bit, just has a little bit of a slant to it. And can we see that there? There's no real way around that. But that's what's going to happen right there. And it'll be fine. It'll just be off just a touch.
Can this be off?
Here's one thing I want to show you, that there is some space between this inlet and between that and this flange, or this baffle that's covering the bottom of the plenum. There's some space here, and I'll show you why that's going to be important here in just a second. Go ahead and pop the muffler off.
That space where your hand is what he's talking
Yep.
about.
All right, bring her over here. Now, when I build Lightnings here, we don't have enough cowl space on the bottom. Our cowl's a little bit tighter than the Zenith cowl is. We can't put this carb heat muff on the bottom. So what we do is we take this pretty stainless carb heat muff and we cut it off right here, just on the outside of the flanges. And I piggyback it right on top of this cabin heat muff. And that's where we put it. Now, obviously, we imagine that we've cut this side off and cut that side off, but I piggyback it right there. It still pulls ambient heat across. This muff is hot anyway, because you're always blowing hot air or air across it, and it's always warm. And like I said, you're just pulling air around it and sucking up into the air box. So we haven't had any issues with it on the Lightnings like this. So that's an alternative. If you feel that this is too close to the bottom of your cowl and you don't like the way that's being routed, you can piggyback it on top of this one right here. We just drill a couple of rivets right here in the bottom, right through this flange right here, rivet them in, and you're done. So that's an option there.
What about the
Okay, when you're working with the fiberglass, you can see on this particular one, oh, that's the 2. Here's a 2 1/4. It will slip over here. But you really shouldn't. You can put the clamp around this and be all right, but you've got metal to metal in there, and it'll vibrate and it'll start to come off. So what we do is just take this spring inside here and pull out a little bit of it. And I cut it off. All right. And then, so now you got a sharp point, and it will puncture this. I just bend a nice little 90 in there. So now you got a soft edge up against it. So now, when you put this on here, the clamp goes down. Now you got rubber with a clamp around it holding on to a metal flange, and it's less likely to work its way off. Also, when you're working with the fiberglass flanges on the NACA scoops, they have a tendency to run a little large. So the next thing I do is I'll take this the string here, and I'll pull it off also. Same thing.
Now it'll stretch.
Now it stretches. And I sit there and I'll take it and I'll just pull on it a little bit, just open it up just a touch more, and that'll make your life a lot easier to slip it over the outlet or the outlet for the NACA scoop. If it's still not fitting well, because early on we had some issues, sometimes the guy with the fiberglass gets a little happy, puts another layer on when he doesn't need to. You just take some sandpaper and just sand it around there. Just sand around the outlet and it should work just fine. Here are your coils. One right here and then one down back behind the number 6 cylinder back here. And what we'll do is Jabiru recommends we put some type of, they call a blast tube on these to blow some cold air on these coils. The easiest thing we found that works is this is regular old, what they call blue line cold water pipe. You can get it at any hardware store, Lowe's, anything like that, Home Depot. And then this is half-inch cold water blue line pipe. And also the fittings that go with it also. You'll need a 45-degree fitting and a 90. And what we do here is I'll take a piece of tubing. You'll cut a hole in the side or the inboard side of your ram air duct in front of the baffle that's in number 5 here, and you're going to put it in at a little bit of an angle. And also you'll end up cutting off. Where's it? Now this is for.
Man, after all the money already spent.
I know, isn't it horrible? What I've done, I've cut about a 45-degree angle off of a piece of this, and what you're going to end up doing is something like this. It's not going to be on top, obviously. You're going to drill a hole in the side, but for purposes of showing you, cut a hole in the side, so that way when air coming in, it hits this tube, comes right out, and blasts right onto the back of this coil right there. And simple 5-minute epoxy and some cotton flock in there, that will hold it right in place. If you want to build a little standoff with an 8L clamp on the back side of your ram air duct, that's perfectly fine also, to give it a little bit of rigidity. On the left bank, 2, 4, and 6, the same thing, but it's a lot shorter pipe. You have a little piece comes out of the back with a 90 that's turned about 45 degrees over to blow right onto the coil on the back side of this one over here.
But on that one, you're coming out of the back behind. Right
yeah, you're coming out of the back side on this bank.
It's just a 90-degree.
No, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It gets enough air back there that it'll be perfectly fine with that. So yeah, but this is the tougher of the two, is this one right here. And it's you're going to get your step drill or unibit, drill the hole through there, get it to where it fits nice in there, set it all up, 5-minute epoxy, or what we do is we tack it in place, let it set, and then pull it off, and then do a nice bead around with it with the 5-minute epoxy. At that point, you got an idea where it's going to set, then you can do a standoff there. Yes, the plug wires do go through this hole in the back here with the grommet. And yes, it is possible. Here's what I do. I will take this grommet out. You take the grommet out, and then I will just take a pair of shears and just slit right up the back. Don't cut a channel, just cut it. Simple as that. Set that aside, and then the fun begins. You may have to, this grommet here, you can see is just kind of a hole, just cut it. You may trim that out just a little bit to the edge of the inside edge of the grommet. But you just start feeding plug wires through it. One at a time. Oh, and cut the, you can cut off the tie wraps right here. But yeah, by the time you're getting here, take a break, go get a cup of coffee, calm down for a moment, because it does get frustrating. But once you get it back to where you need them right here, and you can kind of, put your plug wires on, set your ram air duct down, get an eyeball where it needs to be. Because once you're messing with it, it is difficult back here to move it back and forth. But get it set, and then slide it. You slide your wires up through the slit in the back, and then put the grommet on there, and that plugs everything up, and it'll be fine.
That's sort of like putting 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag.
That's what you're doing. But it will work, and that's how it's, the plug wires on the new style ram air ducts run inside the ram air ducts. Okay, this is your fuel pump overflow right here. If your diaphragm busts and you have a problem with that, it will start pumping overboard here. Run this piece of clear PVC tubing somewhere down a frame, motor mount frame, and dump it overboard. That's where you want to go, is definitely down and below the plane. It's right here. It's a little silver nipple at the bottom of the fuel pump. Pete showed you where it came off the carburetor. It's right here. There's a red cap on it right now, right next to the top of the diaphragm. That's a very, very short little nipple on there. And I've tried to run tie wrap on it, and it works with some success, but every once in a while it'll pop off, and you all of a sudden notice your engine's running rough. It's not going to quit at all, but it's running a little rough, like it's running rich. No, it's like it's running lean. And then what you can do is if you pull your carb heat and it immediately gets better, then that's what usually what happens. The vent valve is, the vent tube is popped off. Put a little piece of safety wire around it and just safety it on with safety wire. Pull it tight.
Where does it go to?
Oh, I'm sorry. It goes to this nipple that's underneath the outlet of the airbox here, right below the carb outlet of the airbox. That's where it hooks to, because that's what Pete was talking about. It's on the fresh air side of the airbox, and it goes over to the carb bowl vent. Yep. That way it keeps the pressures even between the two. Let's see, what else we talked about. And we know that off of the carb heat muff, it goes into the front of the airbox. The cold air from the NACA scoop goes into the side of the airbox up top.
And now I better go to the carburetor.
And the bottom one out on the other side goes out to the carburetor. That's correct.
This dual throttle kit, having this stiffener on here complicates things a little bit, but I think we've found the way around it. The kit comes with a throttle cross rod, and what you're going to have is dual throttles coming from the panel right through the firewall right about here on this side and that side. They're going to connect to the ends of the cross rod. Then in the middle there's going to be a short flexible cable that looks like this, that will go from the center driver on this down to the carburetor. And just looking here to see what some of the issues are, we will have to bend one of these cable end adjusters so that it will route the cable away from the nose leg and the bungees, and give us a little bit more clearance in there. So I guess what we'll do is we'll start with the cross rod. Of course, you got a little packet of hardware here that put this throttle cross rod in place, and we'll work here with the for now we'll work here with this piece of sheet on. Ultimately, it might be a little bit easier to work without it, but we'll start off with it on here. What we're going to do is just center the throttle cross rod, and then we're going to secure this to the firewall. Now, before Zenith put this stiffener in here and so forth, we secured it by drilling down through the shelf, but we got some other stuff going on here and in the way that what we'll do is bolt this throttle cross rod right to the firewall, and then it will operate like this. Okay, one of the things that we're going to have to do is bend one of these cable end adjusters so that it'll give clearance for the throttle cable around the nose leg of the Zenith. And to do that, we don't want to bend back here because that's where it's really thin. So we're going to bend right in this area in the center of the cable end adjuster. So I'll put that in my bender like so. And just give it a slight bend about like that. And that will be enough to take that cable, throttle cable, away from the nose leg and the bungee cords that are associated with the nose leg. If you don't have a bender like this, you can do it in a vise. Put the nuts on the end there and just carefully bend it toward the back end of the threads, and it'll bend just fine. Okay, what we're doing here with Zenith's new stiffener that goes on the stiffener shelf here makes it impossible to get through and drill the bolt hole through the nylon block. So what we're doing is we're just drilling a little pilot hole through the stiffener, and then we're going to ream that out to 3/16, put the bolt in, and fasten the block to the firewall. It would be best, easiest, if a builder keeps these stiffeners off until you install the dual throttles, and that'll avoid this little exercise we're going through right now. Yep.
Back in the box.
Yeah, those, the
Back in
hard
the
top.
box.
There was a washer.
What is involved with that? I mean,
Just crimping them lightly so that the sheath of the cable holds onto them.
okay.
Okay, now you can see we've mounted the outside blocks for the dual throttle. There's one support block that goes in the middle, and that's going to go in right about there, just to support the middle, because you can see that this is quite flexible, and as it pulls hard on the throttle cable, the rod will bend rather than opening your throttle or closing your throttle. The stress comes when you close the throttle. So what we're going to do is we're going to split this block in half and then put it around the rod right there and bolt it in place, and that will that'll hold the center of this throttle cross rod stiff so that the throttle will respond as it should. So who wants to split that on the bandsaw here? And we'll stick that down inside there so that it falls between two of the rivets. Okay, then we need the long drill, the long 3/16, and we're going to just drill right through there. Now on this split block, it will add a little tension to your throttle push-pull. If it's too much, you can put a washer between the two blocks and space them apart again. That'll get the hole back to the original size, and you won't have that friction. But you might find that that friction is nice to have. Okay, next step, we're going to run a cable from the carburetor up to this line here right now, and you can see I took the bent one, and we're going to put this in the carburetor into the new hole that we drilled up at the top.
Can we bend it a little bit the same way using the single throttle and coming around that?
Yeah, you can.
Because it doesn't go straight in.
Yeah, the single throttle uses the other cable end adjuster, but I think you can do the same thing with it. Okay, I've just loosely put the cable end adjuster onto the carburetor, and then I'm going to route this cable right up here, and we're going to drill a hole right in here to there it is, our other cable end adjuster. We're going to install right in here like this. Right up into the stiffener shelf here. So we need a drill with like an 1/8 inch to do a pilot hole, and then we'll expand that to a 1/4 eventually.
Straight down. Where are we going?
Right in the middle of that black hole right
This
there.
one?
Nope,
This one?
that one right there. Okay, and then we're going to install this and cut the cable sheath to length. And you can see when you put this cable in there, it bottoms out about that far. And we'll make a mark right there just as a reference. That's the end of the cable sheath. Okay, so we're going to take this cable and measure. Nice little loop right there. And so we're going to cut this cable sheath right about there.
I pinched it.
Okay.
It's this, it is what it, exactly. If it pinches, just get a little pick in there and open it up.
That's what we save all the rivet mandrels for, right? Just to
Yep.
open
Roll
that
it
up.
there by your, oh, did you already get one?
Yep.
Did you pick one up?
Now
Yep.
this is a cable because it only
Yeah.
really pulls, right? It's the spring.
Yeah, the spring pulls the throttle open, and the cable will pull the throttle closed.
Okay. So, since we have any cases of spring failure.
There. Good, that works. So then we're going to bring this cable sheath and put up in there. Okay, there's a standard cable swivel. It has an Allen key set on each side. So you have to back out the Allen.
I think that's the one.
Okay, you have to back this one out far enough that you can see through the hole, and when you're setting these in there, you tighten the screw from both sides onto the cable. That way it doesn't make that cable kink inside here. So as you're tightening it up, tighten it up till it gets snug on the outside or the inside. Probably the inside is the easiest one to get to snug, and then tighten the outside down against it. But this cable swivel goes into the hole. Yeah, I have to do this with the correct hand here. At the end of the throttle arm extension. And then you can see your cable will come down through here, out the cable end adjuster, and into the cable swivel that's on the carburetor. Tighten that down. We have another cable swivel that will come up here to the horn. That connects the cross rod to the carburetor. Then the final things to do is to yeah, we can do that in a minute, but let's let me go get no, here's one right here. Now we have another style of cable end adjuster that's a little bit bigger back here. That's because the solid wire throttle cable has a bigger sheath than this stranded aircraft cable that's used to go from the center horn down to the carburetor. And what we're going to do eventually is put that on there like that. Now, a swedging tool is what's handy to crimp these down onto the sheath so that the sheath doesn't move back and forth in the cable end adjuster once it's all in place here. Yeah, I mean, we've got the big one. If you have the little clamping type that goes together with some bolts, that works just as well. When we do that, typically we'll pull the center wire right out of the thing, or right back far, and then as we crimp, we'll be moving that center wire back and forth in there, and when we begin to feel a little bit of resistance on that center wire, we stop, because then it springs back and forth, back out enough that there's no resistance, and your crimp will be tight enough that this will stay on there. We usually put a crimp about right there and another one right next to it.
Now that's the one you'd use on the single throttle.
Yes, the single throttle, this would be used at the carburetor. Now the single throttle that comes through is I believe a 4-foot cable. This is a 3-foot cable, and we're going to cut a bunch of this off because the routing of this cable is going to go from the panel right there to the firewall right here. And then this is going to be installed on the back of the firewall so that the end of this just barely comes through. In other words, we want this horn on the cross rod to be able to come back as far as we can. So we don't want to install this that it's sticking out that far, because then you won't be able to get full travel on your throttle from idle to full throttle.
Is that like the usual thing you want to show, like 2 threads, something like that?
Yeah, a couple of threads, just about like that. That's all that needs to be sticking out there.
There's a second nut there on the back of the firewall.
Yeah. If you don't like it that long, you can actually cut that off there if you want. This is meant for guys who are doing the single throttle and putting this right on the carburetor in that hole that we drilled out in the bracket.
Yeah.
And then the solid throttle rod connects to the cable swivel. It needs to be a little bit longer so that you can move this back and forth a little to adjust for your full throw on the throttle. But up here in the firewall, the adjustment is down at the carburetor, or it can be right in here even, but basically at the carburetor. So you can cut that off if you don't like it sticking back quite so far behind your firewall. I don't know why it really makes much difference, but you can do what you want there.
If we're doing a single.
The trick to the single throttle, one, is run that cable as close to the center gear leg as channel as you can. Then I've put a slight bend on mine, just enough to kind of, because you're going to make a small S bend is what you're going to do, and you're trying to keep that down to an absolute minimum. And the other thing you can also do is put a plate, an extension plate, out to the side of the carburetor just a little bit. That helped me a little, but not a whole lot. But I would put a slight bend on that one, just to kind of get the, when you're coming out from the firewall, to allow it to kind of come in just a touch. Because if you start bending it enough, it gets very, very stiff.
See, what you're going to wind up with is an S bend, something like that. And just go ahead and pull the throttle.
Firewall. That's
See, there's really not a whole lot of resistance there, and
not bad.
you don't want your throttle to be so free that it just, you know, you want a little friction on it that you can push against, because that gives you the feel. So it's just a matter of getting it all lined up like that.
But you want to be able to straighten out the cable.
Just as it goes in the carburetor. That's right.
Get more severe with that bend. Let's see how, if it changes. Yeah, it gets to, oh no, hang on.
But it's not nearly that severe.
It really doesn't get too bad.
No.
Where do you have your throttle?
I think the key is, you know, how many bends you have in it. You know, the guys with the throttle in the center, or guys using a single throttle with center stick, have it over on the left usually. Well, you got to come around this way and through, and then you got another bend going to your carburetor. That's where it can get, you get these multiple bends in it. That's where you're going to see.
What about the arc that you're going to have here? The fact you're starting up here and you end up down there.
Yep, you've got an arc down there, but it doesn't seem to bother anything.
Okay.
Now, once in a while, I have guys tell me that they get a little chattering, and if you just take a close look at the end of this throttle end adjuster here and make sure there aren't any burrs on it, and then lubricate your throttle cable where it comes out of there, it seems to be acceptable.
What have you been lubricating the throttle cable with?
Just a little moly grease is what we've put on it.
Take it clean out, lubricate it.
Yeah, I mean, the alternative, you know, Zenith has their T-handles that go through there, and then they have a little slot in the firewall here, so, you know, with their dual throttles, so that solid rod can move down with this horn as the horn moves down. Well, I haven't tried that, but this is such a short run of cable, I don't know why you couldn't do that if you wanted with the cable as well. If you were unhappy with the way that this the cable bent there, you could do a slot just like Zenith does. Leave your cable a little bit longer so that the end of the cable itself actually comes through the firewall, and then the cable end would move up and down in the slot. That may not work if you have a 5-foot chunk of cable there. You may have too much play in the cable. But let's do one more thing here, and then the group can go ahead and hook up this short cable here if you want, or you can leave that till later if you've got other things to do around. Let's install these in place, and that's pretty simple.
Go on the
inboard side. Rather than making this exactly centered in the hole, I cheat it downward just a touch. Kind of helps for when that cable, you know, if you put it a little bit lower. But that's essentially how I would do that. We just put that right there and press it into the firewall. It makes a little bit of a mark, and you can drill through that mark.
Like 320, something like that. Dana knows all the parts.
Let's see,
you know, cost-wise. I sell lightning stuff, so.
Okay, then let's do the other one over on the other side.
The very expensive parts in that are the cables.
Yeah, and if I left one of the throttle cables.
Right there.
The only thing you have to work on is your pressure, make sure the pressure doesn't lock down.
That's gonna be about right there.
And there's also the
And
one,
okay, so we're gonna be right about like that.
Your swivel stops go. There you go. Thank you.
I put this little Adele clamp on here, and I'm going to have Bonnie include that in the kits. And I guess that needs to be mounted right there, or, you know, the Adele clamps take a 1/4 inch bolt is what they're set up for, and I don't know if you want to drill a 1/4 inch through there. So you Zenith guys, if you run out of scrap aluminum of about 1 inch square, you could go get some somewhere. And with 2 1/8 inch rivets, rivet a little scrap piece of aluminum on there that would come over and allow you to put your 1/4 inch bolt, you know, just about where Don is holding it right now.
They're smaller than that. It's weird. I use
That's the long and short of it, really. You know, of course, mounting the throttle cable in the panel, that's pretty simple. You just take the jam nut off, you drill a 9/16, I believe it is, hole in the panel, slide your cable in, the nut and the washer on, and tighten it up, and that's all there is to that. And see, now this isn't so much a factor for the short cable on the dual throttle, but if you're going all the way down to the carburetor, you'll have a run of 3.5 feet or so, and that allows some flex in the sheath of the cable. And if you don't crimp this on here, see what happens? See how that's moving back and forth when you would pull the throttle cable out? So you don't want your cable to move, or you don't want your sheath to move. You want your throttle cable itself to move. Don't forget that when you attempt to bend this stiffener here, that you bend between here and there, and if you center your bend between here and here, I guarantee you'll break it right there.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you're asking how I knew these would break?
Because it's from experience, right?
Yeah. See, here's the part that goes around the sheath, and that's very thin.
Yeah.
And then there's the part, the rest of it, which is much thicker wall, so it breaks right where the wall goes from thick to thin.
Yep. And you don't want to. Okay, when you get the choke kit and the cabin heat kit and the airbox kit, they come with these cables that we send with you. Little black handled cable. It's a simple cable sheath with the center cable in it. Center what?
Solid rod.
Yeah, solid rod in the middle.
These are all in my kit, right?
These are all in your kit.
They're all
When you-
the same.
Yes, they are all the same. The only one that's different is the throttle cable. You also get a very, very small, fine cotter pin, and you get a little ferrule here with 2 holes drilled in it. And there's also a center hole too, but that's not that important. But the little center holes here. So I'm going to demonstrate it here on this airbox. What you would do is you have your cable coming through, the housing coming through, and this is your center part of your cable. And it fits right through the top of this ferrule, like so. Okay? And it sets right in here. That's first trick number 1. I need a 3/16 inch drill or number 10 drill bit. What happens, these are machined parts and they're usually a little tight, and you do want these ferrules to swivel easily in these parts. So, I'm just going to sit here and just take it out just a touch. And that should have taken care of it. That's number 10. But you do want so it swivels easily in there. All right, and on the bottom side is where the cotter pin goes through. And that's what holds the ferrule onto the arm here. So With the kit, what you need to do is solder these parts in here. You're going to run a bead of solder on top of this center conductor here. You can try it with a big wattage soldering iron, but we use a little torch here. Stand back, I'm not sure what this is going to do. Yeah, I forgot.
It'll go off like a lightsaber.
But it's a little swivel end that works very well in these. And that way you can take it off instead of having to bend the cable or anything like that. You can unhook the cable, pull the sheath back out, and you can take the whole cable back out if you had to. Yeah. Let's try this again here. So we're going to heat this up. And usually yeah, that's
That looks better.
Yeah, that should have
didn't run good.
You won't really get that hot, and the reason is if you bring the solder in the
there it goes.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
There, that did it. That's enough.
Yeah.
But make sure it's in there, and then the second part of this is you put the cotter pin on the bottom and secure it, and that keeps the ferrule from coming out. And third, for mechanical purposes, you can bend the end of the center cable there, and then snip off whatever excess you have. Leave yourself about a quarter inch or 3/8 of an inch or so. All right, so that's how you would do that one for the air box, for the cabin heat, and also for the choke. That's the basic way to do those. Running cables, we talked about running the throttle cable for a single throttle. Once again, run it absolutely as close to the center gear or the nose gear channel as you can. Same thing for the choke cable, same thing. Run it as close as you can to keep the bends down to a minimum. But when they pull the throttle back on this, there's a throttle arm stop. There's a set screw there that you set for the idle. That's only a little piece of, I guess it's aluminum, it's what, 1/16 of an inch thick aluminum. And what happens is our customers or our demo rides, they'll pull back, and what they're doing is they're actually bending that idle stop plate. And so next thing you know, we have an idle set at 600 or 650 when it needs to be about 850 or so. What we do to solve this is in between the cable and adjuster, we put an extra one of these swivel stops on here. We put a second one on the center cable itself. What we do then is set the idle where we want it, so we pull it all the way back, and then I'll run that cable stop all the way up against the edge of the cable and adjuster right here. And then you tighten it down, and that way the cable comes back, and the swivel stop hits up against it, and that plate doesn't bend anymore, and it solved all of our problems. Yeah, and what's happening is you're just pulling back too much, because you do have more of a mechanical advantage now on that arm with the throttle extension. And so, like I said, we've learned through having customers in our planes, they don't know the pressure of the throttle cable, so they'll pull back, and that just bends our plate. So that's stopped all of our problems. If you have an extra one of these hanging around the house, go ahead and put it on your throttle cable and set your idle, pull everything back to idle, and tighten it down right at the end of the cable and adjuster. And that should solve that problem right there, so they don't bend anymore.